Hello students. Today we shall learn another interesting topic in the same unit, cardiovascular system. The topic is cardiac arrhythmias. In your first year you would have learned about the structure of the heart, the functions of the heart. The structure of the heart actually explains everything about the chambers, the valves, the importance of it, and most importantly, you would have also learned about the electrical conduction system of the heart, rather also called as electrical conductivity, and that is how your heartbeat actually generates. So, how the impulses travel from the important node, which is also called as the natural pacemaker of the heart, which is the SA node, into the AV node, and from the AV node into the bundle of His, and from there it splits into the right bundle and the left bundle, and then into the Purkinje fibers, and this is how the ventricles contract. So this is actually a review. So if in any doubt, go back and just have a read about what you have learned in your first year regarding the heart and the entire aspect of it. So with that, I think your conduction system will be actually refreshed. So if you know the conduction system, it's very, very important. That is how your heartbeat actually generates. Okay, so if this is a clear path where the impulses are traveling normally from the so-called natural pacemaker, that is the sinus node or the sinoatrial node, in short called as the SA node, the impulses travel, and there are actually three pathways rather on the right atrium, and that is how the impulses also are generated onto the AV node. So from there again the impulses into the bundle of His, and from the bundle of His travel all the way down. It splits into two, the right and left, and into the Purkinje fibers, and then the ventricles will contract. So all this electrical activity is actually recorded once you do an electrocardiogram on the patient, and that is how we get these deflections on the ECG, which is the upward deflection and the downward deflections. Okay, so each deflection actually indicates something. So we will be learning about that as well. So on an ECG, very commonly you would have seen the main important components are the P, Q, R, S, and T waves, and each one has their own significance, and each one has to be very specific. If they deviate from what it is the so-called normal, then we say that yes, this person is having some kind of an abnormal heart rate or the abnormal heart rhythm or an irregular heartbeat. About what the atrial contraction is and how that is shown on an ECG. So the first picture, actually what happens is the activation of the atria. That is when the impulses are generated from the sinoatrial node. The impulses spread, and this is what actually causes the atrium contract, and that is what is shown up as the P wave on your ECG. Okay. As the impulses travel down the AV node into the bundle of His, and then into the right and left bundle branches, and then into the Purkinje fibers, then the ventricles contract. So once that happens, then you see on the ECG the QRS complex. Once that ventricles are also contracted, then it comes to a stage where the ventricles has to relax, or it's also called as the recovery phase, and that is what shows up as your T wave. Okay, so basically you need to understand at least these important things. What does the P indicate? What does the QRS indicate? And what does the T indicate? And on a normal ECG, at least you have the basic idea of what an ECG should look like, okay, the wavy deflections, and also you have an idea about how apart the R wave, or rather the QRS complexes should be. If it is way too apart, then we know that there is something wrong. It indicates a slow heartbeat. So you know that a normal ECG looks like this. There is a normal heartbeat. A fast heartbeat looks like that the complexes are occurring very, very closely. And on a slow heartbeat, you realize that there is a lot of gap between the R waves. And irregular heartbeat actually means the QRS and or rather the P wave and the QRS complexes are not in sync with each other. They just randomly occur however and whenever. This portion on the right, the image, actually again is a deeper explanation of this, and it is actually telling you in detail. I've just given you the complete representation here, but what the activation of the atria indicates, which is it's called as the atrial depolarization. Okay, so that entire phase, the wave shows up on the ECG is the P wave, and that the interval, or rather the period from the atrial contraction until the next ventricular depolarization begins, that is called as the PR interval. Okay, and that indicates when anybody talks about the PR interval, it indicates that yes, they're talking about the duration the atrium is taken to contract. So from the next you see on the on the ECG is the QRS complex. So what happens there? That actually indicates the ventricular depolarization, and that interval. Okay, so from the entire stretch, right from the Q until the T. So that means the ventricles have contracted and the ventricles have relaxed as well, because we told that the T wave indicates ventricular repolarization, and that is actually also, in other words, called as the recovery phase or the recovery period, because the ventricles have contracted, they have done the job of pumping adequate amount of blood from the ventricle into the aorta, and then the ventricles have to relax so that it has to perform the next job. So that entire stretch from the Q until the T is called as the QT interval, and each one has got its significant numbers, and that is what actually is shown up on the ECG. So when you learn the ECG in detail, you need to understand each box, what it indicates. The P wave is supposed to be at a certain height, and it should not be more than 3 boxes. Okay, so generally that is what. So there are certain calculations on that which you will be learning in deep, or rather in depth, when you're doing ECG. But this is at least the basics. You know why this arrhythmia occurs and what are the types of arrhythmia is the only thing we'll be going on. We'll be learning in this particular topic, rather than going into the depth of ECG. So, in short, now when you say heart rhythm problems, or rather it's called as arrhythmias or heart arrhythmias or cardiac arrhythmias, it is nothing but it occurs when the electrical impulses do not coordinate with each other. Or rather, the atrium is working on their own, the ventricles are working on their own, and there is no sync between them. So maybe one is contracting a bit slower, the other is contracting a bit faster, and sometimes the impulses are also traveling slowly, and in other cases maybe the impulses are traveling faster. So all this actually is the cause of some kind of discrepancy in the conduction system of the heart, and that means how the impulses are traveling. So, to put in a meaning for the heart arrhythmias means it occurs when the electrical impulses that coordinate your heartbeat does not work properly, and this can cause your heart to either beat too fast, too slow, or sometimes it can be irregular. Means irregular means sometimes it is fast, it goes on for a time, maybe then it slows down, and maybe you have a slow heartbeat as well. Okay? And these arrhythmias can be life-threatening, means they are dangerous, yes, and the patient can, or the person can exhibit signs and symptoms. Maybe the main important thing is maybe doing a physical activity. When something like this occurs, the person starts to perspire, rather sweating, feeling weak, fatigue, and also there may be drop in blood pressure. And when you feel the pulse, again, as I mentioned, it can be either too fast, that is really thumping pulse, or rather it can be a very slow paced pulse. The heart arrhythmia treatment can often control or eliminate the fast, slow, or the irregular heartbeats. And treatment of this is very, very important, or management is very important, because it has to be paid attention to, because otherwise we may even lose the patient, because we do not know exactly what is it coming from, why is the cause, or is it just because of the extreme physical activity, maybe the heart has been raising and showing this kind of a heartbeat. So it has to be thoroughly diagnosed, and it has to be thoroughly assessed, and management should be taken, provided appropriately. Okay, and also it indicates that this kind of arrhythmias can also be taken care of by following a lifestyle. Now, the meaning of cardiac arrhythmia means, in short, or in simple words, it means an abnormal or irregular rhythm of your heartbeat. It can be slower or faster than the normal heart rate. It can also it can be irregular. It is definitely life-threatening, and what happens there is the heart is not able to obviously receive the adequate amount of oxygen. There's a lot of demand. Obviously there is demand for oxygen, and also the circulation, and the heart is not in a position to contract effectively. And also, because of this electrical conduction system is in trouble, the heart is also not able to contract and pump adequate amount of blood to the rest of the body. So this actually, the signs and symptoms also the topic in this unit, which is the heart block and why it occurs. There are different types, so we'll be going on in detail, yeah, along with each topic. But for now, at least you have an idea or you're familiarized with the terms. Okay, these are the terms like sinus tachycardia, sinus bradycardia, tachycardia, ventricular fibrillation, atrial flutter, atrial fibrillation, and also the heart block, which can be the first degree or the second degree heart block. Then, this slide here is actually explaining to you the types of arrhythmias. Okay, so in a very simple manner, how we can classify the types of arrhythmias is nothing but depending upon the speed of your heart rate. Okay, so as we mentioned, it can be either fast heartbeat or a slow heartbeat. Fast heartbeat indicates greater than 100 beats per minute, and this type of arrhythmia is called tachycardia. Okay, and a slow heartbeat means a rate less than 60 beats per minute, and this type of a heart or arrhythmia is known as bradycardia. Now, not all tachycardias or bradycardias mean you have a heart disease. Okay, it sometimes, as I mentioned, it can be due to your physical activity or exercise. Yes, that is very, very normal, especially when you're jogging or when you're running. You know that your heart tends to pump or beat faster, and that is a very normal pace. Okay, so when that occurs, it does not mean we have a arrhythmia. That is a normal tendency because at that time the heart is demanding more of oxygen and the blood as well for it to pump effectively. So also what happens during sleep sometimes, even when you're in a deep relaxation mode, sometimes the heart also tends to go slower. So all this is not an abnormality. It can occur, but you need to monitor yourself whether it is occurring frequently, whether you're noticing the signs. That is when it becomes a problem, and there has to be immediate attention has to be paid. Now, the tachycardias, as the word itself means it's a fast heart rate. Okay, so there are some of the tachycardias which are occurring in the atrium, means the upper chambers of the heart. So why it when you look at the picture here, the sinoatrial node is supposed to send impulses, and in on the right atrium you can see that naturally we have the three paths. Okay, every human being has got this, and the impulses are supposed to travel along that path into the AV node. There is also the impulse traveling into the left atrium so that the left atrium can also contract. Okay, so that is how, and when that shock is being delivered, that is when the chambers contract, and that is why we say the importance of electrical conduction system of the heart. Okay, so now what happens here? This is supposed to be the normal phase. Okay, from the SA node, the impulses are traveling, it is reaching the AV node, and from there down into the Purkinje fibers. When it is going on a regular pace or a manner, that is when you will notice this kind of an ECG, and this is known as a normal heartbeat. Okay, where you have well seen or well observed P waves followed by a typical QRS complex and followed by a T wave, and they have to be seated in their particular position when you look at the ECG or when you're reading the ECG. Okay, and when you know that all the parameters are correct, then we call it as a normal heartbeat. But whereas in tachycardia, which generates in the atrium, one such tachycardia is atrial fibrillation. So definitely fibrillation means what? It is actually just quivering. The atriums are not able to contract effectively, and what happens? There is a lot of impulses that are generated, and the heart rate is going to be very, very fast. Okay, even they are not it is not in a coordinated manner, and also the atrium is not actually or effectively contracting. There are very weak contractions, and basically you see that it is only just trembling or it is only just quivering. There is no absolute contractions happening. And because of this, what is going to happen? The electrical impulses are not being conducted effectively into the AV node, so that once the impulses are conducted to the AV node, only then it can travel down there, and only then the ventricles are contracting. So when there is a delay in the beginning itself, then you can imagine that yes, that there is a slow conductivity, and that is how it is going to be reaching the ventricles, and then definitely there's not going to be an effective cardiac output. So what exactly goes on in this kind of a condition means you can see that impulses are generated everywhere, not just in the SA node. If you look at the picture on your right, again what you see here is it is not just in the SA node. You can see that impulses are generated everywhere, both on the right atrium and the left atrium. It is chaotic, means it is so abnormal or so irregular that even the heart does not know what is going on. Okay, so when that occurs, we know that the atrium is not in a position to contract effectively, and the impulses are not generated properly, and that kind of an ECG is going to be represented something like this. So anybody looking at this ECG will be in a position to tell that yes, that does not look quite normal. Okay, so you see that there is no demarcated P waves seen, or there is no proper QRS complex. There is a quite a bit of a delay here, and that is all indicating the atrial fibrillation. And also this can lead to serious complications such as stroke. Means what? And eventually what is going to happen, because of this delay in the atrium itself, as I mentioned, the ventricles contractions will be delayed, and the ventricles are also not in a position to conduct effectively, and eventually what happens, there is going to be sometimes sort of a clogging of blood, and maybe resulting in a stroke in a patient. The next kind of arrhythmia or a tachycardia from the atrium is called as the atrial flutter, and this flutter is very well recognized as the saw-shaped, okay, or the sawtooth. That is what I meant. The instrument that is used to cut the wood I mentioned. So you see that it's just like a zigzag. Okay, so there is no proper demarcation between a P wave or a QRS complex. And again, what is happening here? You see that the impulses are not organized. Okay, are even the electrical impulses generated are not going to be carried out appropriately. Again, the complications can be such as a stroke, and you can see this picture also showing how the impulses are being represented here. The next kind of arrhythmia that is occurring in the atrium can be something called as supraventricular tachycardia. So that is nothing but which is a broad term of many forms of arrhythmia originating above the ventricles. So supraventricular means it is the word is indicating that it is above the ventricles. So you can see here this is the ventricle, the impulses are beginning to generate from here, and these types of arrhythmia can seem to cause sudden episodes of palpitations that begin and end abruptly. So you do not know why this occurs. Maybe you're doing some kind of an activity, or you're just sitting and doing not a great physical work as well, but suddenly what happens, your heart can tend to cause this abnormal fast rhythms called as palpitations, and sometimes it can last for a few minutes. We do not know the exact duration. Maybe it can go on for quite some time longer as well, but it depends from person to person. So all this is what is causing this abnormal heart rhythm, and even in this you can see that the abnormality in the ECG as well. Okay, so this is how so another kind of tachycardia is and it also originates with abnormal electrical signals. So that means there is no proper position of the signals traveling. The rapid heart rate does not allow the ventricles to fill and contract effectively. So that is what is happening. It is only just quivering, and eventually what is going to happen, it's going to be losing a lot of energy. The heart is eventually going to become quite weak, and also there is going to be decreased cardiac output. So the ECG representation you see on this picture here, the normal heart rate is looking like this, whereas in a ventricular tachycardia it is just going to be like a wave form, and but you see that the waves are regular. Okay, and that is called as a ventricular. There is also another type of tachycardia that occurs in the ventricles, that is ventricular fibrillation. So it is very fast heartbeat, and what happens there is the ventricles are just quivering, means it is not contracting, it is only just trembling. Okay, so definitely it's going to be chaotic, the impulses are not going to be normal, and also instead of pumping, it is only just trembling. Okay. And eventually what happens, there is not going to be cardiac output, and if it is left unnoticed for for a few minutes, we can actually the patient can end up having an arrest. So that is what is happening. So immediate attention has to be paid and to that particular person, and you can see how the ECG changes are going to be happening. So you see this the picture or the diagram here, in a normal way or a normal heart, what is supposed to happen, whereas in that ventricular fibrillation condition, you can see from where all the impulses are generated, and it is like just shocking the ventricle. So when you do shocking the ventricles from every direction, it is not able to contract effectively, and the ECG also will represent simply some kind of a wave, because we do not know what is a P wave, whether the atrium is doing its job, whether the ventricles are doing its job. Nothing is clear, and the ECG may look something like this. So the black picture here that you see with the boxes over here is the ECG representation of a ventricular fibrillation. Now there is also something called as a long QT syndrome, which is not very important, but at least just for information sake, you just need to know. Again, they're nothing but chaotic, irregular heartbeat, and again, it's going to be life-threatening. It has to need immediate attention, and the patient may exhibit symptoms like fainting and also sudden cardiac Okay, next coming to the slower heart rate. So we finished with the tachycardias, the common ones, and the next one is a slower heart rate, which is called as a bradycardia, means the heart rate below 60 beats per minute. And sometimes what happens, patients can be on some certain medications to help to treat the conditions. And in this one such kind of a bradycardia, the condition is called as the sick sinus syndrome. Means what is happening here, the sinus node is not in a position to send impulses properly or effectively to the rest of the heart. So what happens here, the heart may be alternating between a very slow heart rate or a too fast heart rate. And what sinus syndrome, in an ECG you will see this. Okay, sometimes, as I told you, this is a bit of a fast heart rate to begin with, and eventually what, there's a big pause, means there's some kind of a slowing down of that particular impulse, and then again it takes on, and again you see that the heartbeat is actually slowing down, because in the beginning you can see that the R wave or the QRS complexes are quite close to each other. Then you see the big pause, then you see that the R waves are quite separated. So again there is a delay. So this kind of condition is called a sick sinus syndrome, and again it can result in a big pause, or sometimes also the patient can end up in an arrest condition. Okay, so that is what. So all this has to be take great attention, and so that we do not want to lose our patient. Now, that is also called as conduction block, means a block of your heart's electrical pathway that can occur near the AV node. Okay? Means what is happening, even though sometimes, as we told, the SA node is not able to generate impulses, and you see that something like the sick sinus syndrome or the sinus bradycardia can occur, means sinus itself means it is occurring from the, or originating from the SA node. Now the conduction block means what, as the impulses are being conducted from the SA to the AV, sometimes there is a blockage near the AV node. So that means what happens, from the AV node down below, the impulses are not conducted effectively. Okay? So impulses between the upper and the lower halves of your heart may be either slowed or blocked. So when you say upper and the lower halves means what, it is between the atrium and the ventricles. Again, this is what is supposed to happen. This is a diagram that is showing the sinus or the SA node, and then the AV node, and the green indicates blockage, means the impulses are not traveling effectively. Maybe it can occur right there at the SA node or right below the AV node, means there is no impulses conducted downwards, or sometimes it can occur only somewhere down the bundle branches as well. Okay, so kind of a block occur. That is also called as something premature heartbeats, means it is a skipped heartbeat where there is some or it can also be something like an extra heartbeat. Okay, so premature heartbeat is actually an extra beat that you see. Again, all this is not actually seen physically in a patient, only when occurs when you're resting, when the patient is resting, or sometimes caused by excessive stress. Okay, or when the person is involved in doing strenuous exercises or very high physical activity, and it can also be stimulated with some kind of caffeine, or the caffeine also includes excess the coffee, the tea, what we drink, and also sometimes all the medications also. Okay, the drugs that we have, the person have, all that can also can lead to this kind of a heartbeat. And there is one more important reason we say that do not self-medicate, and you need to take your medications as per your doctor's orders. And this is a ECG which is showing you what is the meaning of a premature heartbeat. Okay, or again it can occur either in the atrium or in the ventricle. So in the ECG you will see something extra is there, and that actually indicates. Now you see in the ECG below, everything looks quite like a normal ECG, but in between you see there is a sudden big broad wave complex. Again, that is a premature ventricular contraction, because it is associated with the QRS complex. And here we'll see there is another little bit of a P wave deflection. Again, that is indicating a premature contraction. And when you know it is associated with the P, then it is related to the atrium. So that is what we say. A premature beat is also called. Now, what are the causes for all this kind of arrhythmias? Now, we can divide the causes as the most important causes and the other things that contribute to this particular condition. So, most of the time when you say the important causes may be all related to your heart, okay? Maybe the person is having a bad a disease of the heart. It includes some, maybe he's had previous MIs, which is myocardial infarction or heart attacks, and maybe he's got some kind of what is it, disorders like hyperthyroidism, hypothyroidism, also some comorbidities like high blood pressure, diabetes, also the coronary atherosclerosis, or rather coronary artery disease. Also maybe the heart may be big or large, or it is hypertrophied. So in such conditions also, or rather called as cardiomyopathy. So all this, any kind of diseases related to the heart also can lead to this particular condition. And the other factors that contribute to this particular disease also, or a disorder, or a condition of the heart, includes smoking, drinking, drug use, excessive stress, anxiety, and as I mentioned, certain medications, especially over-the-counter medications, or sometimes even the normal supplements that the patients have, like thinking that yes, it's for good health benefits, can also cause this kind of abnormal heart rhythm. And what are the clinical manifestations, how the patient is going to be exhibiting this kind of signs and symptoms? Yes, definitely it is going to be the fast heartbeat. Yes, when you feel the patient is going to be feeling excessively tired. When you put a finger on your artery just to feel the pulse, it is going to be on a racing heartbeat, which means it is tachycardia. Sometimes also maybe the person is having a bradycardia. Also associated with chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, as I mentioned to you, yes, tiredness, lightheadedness, a person can feel dizzy or sweating, and also fainting. So fainting in this condition, or in this context, the term used is syncope, okay, syncope, and this is nothing but fainting because of this. Now, the risk factors associated with this particular condition include coronary artery disease, high blood pressure, or any sort of congenital heart diseases, means anyone who is born with this particular abnormality as well. Also, the risk factors includes thyroid problems, diabetes, obstructive sleep apnea. So, sleep apnea means what? That is, apnea means what? It is nothing but disorder in which your breathing is interrupted. So, difficulty in breathing while you're asleep. Okay, this can also increase the risk of bradycardia, or also the condition called as atrial fibrillation, and any other type of arrhythmias. And electrolyte imbalance, that is the substances in your blood, as the electrolytes, nothing but the sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, can also kind of trigger such kind of abnormal electrical impulses in your heart, and resulting in this. Risk factors also include, as we mentioned earlier, the drugs and supplements, drinking too much alcohol, caffeine, nicotine, and also illegal drug use. So this is what actually gets your heart faster, and also puts you in a condition where the person may also end up in a sudden death due to this ventricular fibrillation. The complications resulting from this particular heart disorder will be stroke, and certain medications such as blood thinners. Okay, so what is happening? A greater risk of stroke or damage to the organs caused by blood clots. Okay, so also all this has to be thoroughly monitored, and you should be having your medications properly for this particular condition, and make sure that nothing actually triggers this kind of situation, so which actually leads to the complications. And also the complications include heart failure. Okay, means what? The heart failure is nothing but the heart is not in a position to pump effectively. Okay, and that is nothing but heart failure. It is actually contracting, the amount of blood that is flowing through, and what is the actual cardiac output. That's also a way of diagnosing the particular condition. Implantable loop recorder. So this also may be implanted under the skin in the chest area, and this is again, it's recording the heart's electrical activity. It is a small procedure that is being done. It is like a small little like an USB stick, something like that. You have a small device which is actually put in below the skin area on the chest, and this actually detects and records all the arrhythmias, and from there again can be retracted, and again it can be seen when and where or in what conditions the heart has actually gone on an irregular beat. The other tests include stress test, tilt table test. Again, especially when the person is experiencing fainting spells, when the person is complaining of a lot of fainting episodes, then we do the tilt table. So what happens? As the name itself suggests, tilt table, it moves in all directions, upwards, downwards. The patient is going to be lying on the table. He'll be strapped. He'll be secured. He'll be anchored properly. He's not going to be falling off, and the table is going to move in all directions, and then again this is going to observe how the heart and the nervous system controls, and the how it is whether the person is experiencing any kind of symptoms when the test is being done, and that is how you perform the tilt table test. And the other best way to always study arrhythmias is by performing an electrophysiological study or test or mapping. Okay, so what happens is a detailed analysis of every little spot or pathway of the electrical conduction system of the heart is being studied very thoroughly, and the the electrophysiologist who actually performs or who actually specializes in this particular area of study performs this procedure. So he would exactly know where this extra impulse is occurring from, and then the disease can be taken care of by actually burning that particular area of the tissue so that no more impulses is actually occurring from that particular spot or area of the heart and causing the person having this irregular heartbeat. So EPS study or electrophysiological study is one of the ways of actually studying and also treating kind of will look like. So the pictures here are showing you what it is. So here you have only a single lead. You look only a small one wire is actually going into the heart chamber, into the right ventricle. Whereas here you see it is also called as a dual chamber, means there are two leads or two wires depending upon where the how slow the heartbeat is or where the blockage is. So depending on that, you will see the person is going to have either a single lead pacemaker or a dual chamber pacemaker, and this is how it will look like. So the lead actually goes into the heart chamber, and again the device is actually going to be sitting on the upper chest, upper portion of the chest below the skin. Treatments of tachycardia, that is a fast heart rate, again will include vagal maneuvers. So again, it is nothing but like like specific movements or like a small massage that you would do. Okay, that is all that will actually take care of the fast heart rate. Medications again is also a way of treating or reducing the heart abnormalities. Cardioversion is nothing but also like how you shock the patient. Electrical shocks are being administered in order to, especially when it is a fast rhythm, and that is also going to reset and make sure the rhythm gets back to the sinus rhythm. Ablation therapy, as I mentioned to you, especially the detailed EPS studies that is being done, where the extra pathways are being detected and from where the impulses are being generated. Again, that portion of the tissue will be burned. Okay, so it will be burnt, and again, what happens? The arrhythmia can be corrected. So that is a part of your EPS study as well. Implantable cardioverter defibrillator, in short, is called as ICD, and again this device also, it monitors the heart rhythm and it detects the unusually fast heart rate and it stimulates the heart to return to the normal speed. So all this device of ICD is also something like the way how you see in the pacemaker, and that actually controls the heart rhythm. Now also sometimes you have the surgical aspect of it, and when the person may go into having a surgery again, when like resulting in performing a ventricular aneurysm surgery. Aneurysm is nothing but what, it's a bulge in your blood vessel. Okay, so when something like that condition is detected, then the best way to do is remove that, and then the problem can be resolved. Also coronary artery bypass surgery, that is what happens the we've studied in the previous topic, like how it is done, bypass surgery, again mainly to bypass the regions of in order to improve the blood supply to the heart. Now, the nursing management is the most important thing here. So the priorities will include to prevent and treat these life-threatening arrhythmias or dysarrhythmias. So what happens? It is a complication. It is dangerous, and it needs immediate help. Okay. Also supporting the patient, making sure that the patient is administered oxygen, and also it's very important. The patient is going to be very anxious because he does not know why this is occurring, and teaching and counseling the family is also very important. And also the most important thing for the nurse to do is conduct or perform a thorough history collection, because we need to exactly know how this episode has occurred and when and what was the patient doing at that situation. And it is very important to extract all the little minute details about his whether physical activity and how long it lasts for, what is the patient experiencing during the time, what are the main clinical signs and symptoms. Only then the nurse and the healthcare team again will be in a position to plan the appropriate the little device from then on. Okay, so how you actually use your mobile phones, every little aspect, the patient should not be using it on the same side of the pacemaker itself for some time, and then it has to be done on the opposite, because all this is like interference of the the waves and all that. So all that is going to be causing interference in the pacemaker functioning also sometimes. So, and also on the day the procedure is done and after the patient goes on a discharge back home, it's very important you tell not to be moving the arm on which side the pacemaker is inserted, not to be moving the arm too much, and also making sure, because most of the time what happens because of the excessive movement and all that, sometimes the leads which is inside the chambers of the heart can get dislodged. Okay, and because of that, again, the person can go back to the original condition of having the slow heart rate. And you never know why, again, the patient may have fainting spells and also maybe ending up with an arrest as well. So we do not want all that. So clear instructions, and also when he's traveling, you need to ensure that he gets the pacemaker card. Okay, so especially when he's traveling to the airport and things like that, you need to ensure that the person is also aware of these things, especially going through the scanners and all that. So all that detailed information about all the device and everything has to be explained to the patient and the family thoroughly. Very important, because this is like a foreign body sitting there. Very importantly, that he needs to be on his blood thinners, and how to check, have the medications on time, how to check his how thin the blood is, or do his routine blood test is also very, very important, because we do not want any sort of clot formation on the leads or anything like that. So having proper medications, making sure his other comorbidities are under control, like hypertension, blood pressure, hypertension or high blood pressure, diabetes, or any other kind of disease or disorders the person is experiencing. How do we prevent this particular condition? Yes, it's going to be obviously eating a heart healthy diet, staying physically active, avoiding all the other habits of like smoking, alcohol, and illegal use of drugs, limiting your caffeine intake, most importantly reducing stress, controlling your body weight, obesity, and also using unnecessary over-the-counter medications, because all this, even if you think as they are supplements, sometimes they can trigger unwanted or unnecessary rhythm. Okay, and this can put your heart into a lot of problem. So this is the way you educate the patient and the family regarding how we can prevent this particular. And with that, we have finished the topic. Thank you for your time.